Hello，大家好，我是叶晨峰。昨天我姐打电话给我，她跟我说现在赚钱不容易，因为有很多的工厂都倒闭了。她跟我姐夫都是最底层的蓝领，他们在县城买了一套房子。这个县城的房价在我们赣州市算是性价比最高的。即使这样，他还是花了70-80万才买下一套大概140平米左右的房子。现在他跟我姐夫每个月要还房贷，除了还房贷之外，还需要养2个小孩子，而且他们2个的工作收入都不是很高，所以压力真的是很大。一如既往的，我姐说完自己的事情之后呢，就开始催婚了。她说让我早点结婚，最好研究生毕业之后就马上结婚。我虽然很无语，但还是跟他说，结婚没有那么容易，并不是说领一个结婚证就可以结婚了，需要考虑的事情很多。尽管我这么说了，但他还是有他自己的道理。他说2个人结了婚之后呢，可以一起还房贷，这样比一个人买房子还房贷的压力会小很多。说到买房子，现在买房子的话，一般都是需要老中青3代人共同出资才能买得起一套房子。当然，像鹤岗这样的资源衰竭城市除外，比如像北京、深圳、上海这些一线城市，这些城市的房子，哪怕是老中青3代人共同出资，可能连个首付都付不起。所以说，现在年轻人买房子的压力真的是非常的大。我之前在 Cambly 上跟外国人聊过中外的文化和生活，然后今天我想跟他们聊一下买房子的这些话题。我想问一下他们，如果他们要在当地买房子，需要工作多少年才能买得起一套房子？还有他们在结婚之前需要买房子吗？带着这些问题，让我们一起通过 Cambly 跟外国人讨论一下。
Yeah, so Miller, where are you now? Are you in China?
Yeah, I'm in mainland China. Have you ever learned how difficult it is for young people in China to buy a house?
Oh, I can imagine it's very expensive. Yeah,
It's
it's
the
very
same in
difficult.
New Zealand.
In New Zealand, the average house is $1 million now. $1 million.
Oh, expensive.
Very expensive for us. In China that a girl does not want to marry a man if he can't buy a house. Is that right?
Yeah. Have you been to China?
No, I have many Chinese friends who tell me this story about
Yeah.
Chinese girls. They won't marry you if you can't buy a house. So
Have you learned about that Chinese people? It's very difficult to buy a house for young people.
Oh, for young people.
Yeah.
I did not know that, but it is the same in America. It's hard for young people.
I have heard something about this.
So in New Zealand, the girls will take care about the house.
No, they probably care more just about your job. You have a good job, but if you rent a house, they don't care. They really care about going out for dinner, maybe getting flowers, the usual thing. But yeah, buying a house, no, it's really about love, sex. This is more important. Yeah, this is more important.
So you can rent a house if you want to get married.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
So it's necessary to buy a house before you get married?
No. Sometimes you can rent a house. So if you rent a house, you don't buy the house, but you pay every month to live in the house.
The woman gets married with you. She didn't care whether you have bought a house.
No, I don't know. Some women care, but some women don't care. So it depends on the woman that you marry.
Oh.
Well, in Canada, housing is very expensive, a lot like China. It's very expensive to buy a house or a condo. Owning a house is not a requirement for marriage. It depends. So in Canada, there's many different cultures. There's people from many different backgrounds. There's Chinese people, there's Indian people, there's Muslim people, there's Europeans, whites. So they follow their own tradition. So, but for the white population, for the Western population, a house is not a requirement for marriage. So usually in the Western culture, a man and a woman will date, and they may live together before they get married. They might move into an apartment together and live for a year or two, or maybe 3 or 4, and then get married, and then continue to save up money to buy a house because it's very expensive. And usually in Canada, both the man and the woman work, so they want to save up money to have a house. Usually first buy a house, and then so they can have a child. So most people here have their children in their 30s. They don't have their children until they're maybe 32 to 35. Because they're saving money to buy a house first.
Before you get married, you can rent a house in Canada. The girls don't care whether you have a house. Yeah, maybe you can rent a house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay. They don't really care about that. They're thinking more about the future. Like, I mean, you can always buy a house in the future. You don't have to have one before you get married.
Before you get married, will you buy a house?
I can if I wanted to.
Girl, care about whether you have a house?
It depends.
If you want to buy a house in local America,
yes,
and you start to save money now, and how long would it take you to afford it, to buy a house?
I lived with my parents a few years ago and I worked full time, and I saved enough money to buy a house in about a year and a half.
So it's not very difficult to buy a house.
It is hard, but it was easy for me because I lived with my family and I had very little bills. But if I lived on my own and paid a lot of bills, it would have taken a lot longer to save.
It depends. Depends where you live. So, for example, if you live in a big city, like Vancouver, Wenkuhua, or Toronto. Those are some of the most expensive cities in the world. Actually, most people can never afford to buy a house there. Most local people will never be able to afford to buy a house because a house there would be like over $1 million for a family size house. But in a smaller city where I live, it might cost $400,000, something like that. So, but you can, it's much easier to get a mortgage. You know, mortgage? Mortgage. Here, I'll write it down for you. So you, when you buy a house, let's say the house is worth $500,000. You have to put down a minimum payment, which you pay up front. So you put down a minimum payment of $50,000. So you pay $50,000 right away, and then the bank pays for the rest, and you have to pay the bank back. So then you usually buy the house like that, you move in, and then over time you pay the mortgage for the house as you live there. I think in China they probably have something similar.
Yeah, similar like Canada. Yeah.
UK, we can apply for a mortgage. Do you know what a mortgage is? Yeah. So most young people in the UK cannot buy a house outright. Means they do not have the money to pay for the house in full. So most young people have to get a mortgage. So you would have to go to your bank and you would have to provide proof of income. So how much money do you make? And usually when you buy a house in the UK and you get a mortgage, you have to pay a deposit. Okay, so you have to pay a deposit on the house, and usually the deposit is anything from £30,000 to maybe like £100,000. Okay, £100,000. Now, when you need to borrow money from the bank will lend you 3 times, okay, your annual salary. Okay, so if you make £20,000 a year, okay, the bank will lend you £60,000, and so on. It works like this. But it is very hard. It's very, very hard because in the UK, the government introduced 0-hour contracts. So, which means it's good for employers, for businesses, but it means that young people who have finished university, who want to start a family, cannot get a loan for a house because they have no income. Do you understand? They have a 0-hour contract, which means that their contract just says maybe 1 month you will earn no money. Maybe the next month you will earn £1,000 or £2,000. But we cannot promise you we will give you hours. So that is why it's a 0-hour contract. So yeah, in the UK, it is same problem, big problem for people to buy a house.
Do you want to buy a house, or you already have?
Yeah, I have a house here. Yes. But I'm much older than you. I'm 42.
How long it take you to afford it? Buy a house?
Yeah, good question. Good question, Amila. I would say maybe 10 years. Yeah, maybe 10 years, because my job, if I make a movie, make a money, right? So just depends on
a movie.
Job. Yeah,
make a movie. Wow, sounds interesting.
Yeah, sometimes, but now no movie, no money. So yeah.
How long take you to afford it, to buy the house?
It took about, when I left school, maybe six years. But I got the money from the bank. I asked the bank for some money, and I pay the bank every month. I pay the bank. I pay and I pay and I pay. So it's going to take 22 years.
So it's very normal to spend your 20 or more years to pay the bank, buy a house.
Yes, because the house is very expensive.
通过在 Cambly 上跟外国人讨论买房子的话题，我了解到的情况就是，大多数发达国家买房子都跟我们中国差不多，都很难。他们跟我们一样，买房子都是需要通过贷款，然后可能需要花20年甚至30年的时间才能去还清这些贷款。其实我之前也知道，像在英国、加拿大、美国买房子都不是特别的容易。像在新西兰，我知道他们国家的人都生活得很幸福，但是让我没想到的是，跟我视频的是一位导演，他也说过，他拍电影收入还是非常的可观的，即使这样，他还是需要花10年的时间才能买得起一套房子，所以可想而知，买房子对于这些发达国家的人来说都很难。视频中的美国小哥哥，他可能是富二代吧，所以说他说自己工作1年半就能买得起一套房子。像在南非也是一个发达国家，他们也是需要通过贷款才能买得起一套房子，而且他们一般来说是需要花20年的时间才能去还清银行的贷款。其实这些情况跟我们国家也差不多，我们一般也要通过20-30年的时间才能买得起一套房子。像在我们国家，我们知道在我们结婚之前呢，一般来说要求要有房子的，但是在这些西方发达国家，他们比较看重的是男方从事的是什么工作，然后比较看重未来，还有就是男方是否比较浪漫这些条件。所以说中西方的文化还是有点不一样的。不管怎么样，中西方都比较看重男方的个人的能力吧。Cambly 是我用过最好用的英语口语练习平台，因为你可以直接面对面跟以英语为母语的人聊天，接触到最纯正的英式或美式发音，帮你纠正中式英语。如果你的英语口语是小学水平，那也没关系。Cambly 上的外教会放慢语速到你能完全听懂，耐心的跟你讲解。Cambly 上的外教可以从最基础的发音开始，帮你实现说英语就跟说中文一样流利地道。练习英语口语就用 Cambly。好了，这期视频就分享到这里了，下期视频见，拜拜。